Hey guys, welcome back to Amanda's Favorites. If you're new here, I do planner reviews and I share my own personal planning. I also share an extra personal monthly video or Zoom call. We rotate months on that with my patrons. And when you join, you can view all the previous Zoom calls and previous monthly videos. For January over there on Patreon, I actually gave 2 personal monthly videos. Both of them were with my sister Molly when I was visiting in Utah. We talked about her goal planning and how she views goals. And then we also did another video with the planner that she is planning to start out 2023 in and talks us all through that. You can join Patreon and you can quit at any time. You're just charged 1 month at a time. There's absolutely no obligation. So that link is always down in the description if you'd like to check out supporting me over there and getting those monthly perks. Today's video is going to be about my goal setting. I don't really like to call it goals. We'll get more into that. For 2023, I am using the Laurel Denise weekly planner. And last year, I was using the Golden Coil weekly planner as like my weekly list planner. And that is where I put my 2022 goals. So I have a whole video on my 2022 goals, and I'm going to list that link down in the description in case you want to compare it to how I'm doing 2023. So 2023, I'm just going to put it in my Laurel Denise planner because this is the planner that I'm using. I do have a 10% off code to Laurel Denise. It is good for a one use only. It's Amanda's Favorites. And so one time only. Don't forget to enter it in though. You can use it. I have an affiliate link for Laurel Denise. So anytime you make a purchase, if my videos have helped you, you can help me out by when you're purchasing to click through any of my links down below that are labeled affiliate links. That just means you show the company how many people I bring to them and I make a small percentage of the sale. And that is a huge way that I keep my channel going. So if my content helps you and you want me to continue to produce content for you, that is a way you can help me without spending any extra money. I know it's a little extra work because you have to remember to come through and click through the affiliate link before you purchase, but it really is like a huge part of keeping my channel going. So thank you so much for helping me out in that way when you make purchases. I have a full review video on this Laurel Denise horizontal. I also have the vertical in that same video. I will link it in the description. And then I have a separate video for her project planner, which I think is already sold out. I know she's going to be bringing a undated vertical and horizontal out in the spring. I believe she said in May, if I'm not wrong. I'm not sure if she's going to bring out any more project planners or if you're going to have to wait till the fall for that. But I'm going to put both those review videos down in the description for you. So if you're new to Laurel Denise, you're going to want to go check out those videos. This year, like I said, I'm using her weekly horizontal planner for my planning. And so I have just been incorporating my goals for the past couple years into my planner. And I like to think they are really more like habits that I track yearly. So my yearly habit trackers, I'm going to show you my ones that are finished for 2022. My 2023 ones I did not grab because they are actually in my morning basket caddy where I keep my scripture study and my journal, and I fill these out every morning. That's the only way they get filled out, is that when I'm doing my scripture study that morning, I filled out the scripture study one. And then I fill out my move my body one from the day before because I can remember what I did the day before. I fill out my yoga one from the day before, and I fill out my reading one. This goes with my self-improvement books for the year. I stick this in my self-improvement book. It's also in my morning basket. These are all together with my map pencils and done all at once every morning. That is the only way that I get them filled out. If not, if they're in my planner, I'm not going to remember to go to my planner when I read my self-improvement book or go to my planner when I read my scriptures. And the yoga and move my body is easy for me to remember, like from the day before when I fill it out the next morning. So we're going to get more into these habit trackers. I'm going to list down below. I get these from ELISE.com, her newsletter. She just gives out this yearly habit tracker if you sign up for her newsletter. And you can choose a Sunday or a Monday start, and then it's just all the numbers in a row. Yes, it is all flowing together, so you kind of have to get used to the flow of it. For my scripture study, I use a different color every month. For my move my body, I have a code just so I know what I did that day, because now I can look over the whole year and I can really see when I was doing what and what I was focusing on for that time of the year. And then for yoga, it's just, if it's a video, it's a dark purple. If it's just yoga stretching on my own, then it is the light pink. So that's just easy for me to see how I'm doing. And then my self-improvement reading, I did the same color a month that I did for my scripture study. That way, like that same pencil is just out and it's the same color per month. And I just kind of coordinate with the seasons. And I kind of wrote what I was reading every month to keep track of it there. I didn't quite finish writing through the end of the year, but... And then the last 2 weeks of the year, I was at Molly's house and I didn't even worry about these. I knew my last 2 weeks wouldn't get filled out. I've never had a vacation that long in my life, so I've never had this happen with my habit trackers before, but I was completely fine with it. Now, when I did a survey on my Instagram of do you keep a yearly habit tracker, monthly habit trackers, weekly habit trackers, or no habit trackers, I was shocked that I've been talking about these for several years and still there is, I forget the percentage, the tiniest percentage of you guys who use yearly habit trackers. I feel like it scares most people, or it's intimidating, or it makes you think that you're going to feel bad about yourself. But this is a huge part of my goals. That's why I'm talking about it. Because my goals are really more habits and routines as far as like my spiritual and physical health. They are habits and routines and rhythms of every day. I really do think of all these circles as like a drop in the bucket every day. I can just visualize it. And I can see that by the end of the year, that scripture bucket is overflowing. I finished the whole Old Testament in plus a like study guide book, so extra reading with it in 2022, just from every drop in the bucket. So that's what every drop in the bucket does. Every drop in the bucket is like a drop for my health, right? And my physical health affects my mental health and vice versa. Every drop in the bucket from me reading self-improvement books, it doesn't have to happen every day. A couple of these were self-improvement books like 7 Habits, Food Fix, Christ-like Parenting. Then I went to reading conference talks from my church, another church book on Revelation. So it can be anything that I'm just feeling drawn to self-improvement wise at the time. And you can see I don't read a self-improvement book every day, but every drop in the bucket counts because I was able to finish several books this year that I would have never finished without this monitoring. This is not really just motivation for me. It's really like monitoring. Like I can't see how I'm doing at anything if I'm not monitoring it. And if I'm just seeing this weekly, I might think, wow, well, this week I only did 3 yogas, and then I just flip to the next week and I start over. I don't really know how I'm doing if I just have weekly habit trackers. They might motivate you for the week, but weekly habit trackers really never did anything for me long term to see how I'm doing. I never really had a great monthly habit tracker that I loved. I know that they are on the bottom of the PowerSheets, and I used PowerSheets for almost 3 years in a row. And that was great training. I always say PowerSheets and MäksēLife are wonderful. I've used both systems. I have extensive reviews on this current year's. I've talked on past years. I have playlists for both and talked about how I've used both. I have a MäksēLife and PowerSheets comparison video in which I go in really deep about how I used both and how I feel about each one. I have all that, and those systems can be great. If you love those tools and guidance, I think they are amazing systems. And I think those tools and the prep work are so helpful. I learned a lot from using those systems. Before then, I had never used any goal planners. So I feel like they taught me a lot. And then I feel like it's just my personality, the rebel personality in me. It was just never something I was going to stick with. I had never used it until the years of starting my channel. And then they taught me a lot, but then I like to go on and kind of make my own system. That's just me. So people, always ask me, I have these goal planners sitting on my shelves. Why am I not using them? Because I don't force myself to use something just because I've been given it for review. It's a great system. Trust me, whenever I review it, I am tempted to jump into it. Whenever I see you guys using it or your testimonials about how great it works for you, yes, my mind has a little twinge of wanting to jump into it. But then I just remember that my system's working good for me. I just don't have time in my life to play around in something or spend a lot of time, not sure, jumping out of my system. If it works for me, I just like to stay in my system because my life is pretty busy. These yearly habit trackers are really like gold to me. I think this might be my 4th year doing them. It might only be my 3rd though. I can't remember. Up until that point, I had never used yearly habit trackers. Like I said, monthly never did anything that much for me because I did use the ones on the PowerSheets. I tested them. They're really tiny. Just the scope of the month. You can see how you did in 1 month on maybe 4 habits. I really love to see the whole year. And I love how I can color code it because whether I color code it by month, so you can see kind of how you're doing per month, or whether I color code it by activity. So over the whole year, I can see how many yoga videos did I do. And then how do I feel doing yoga videos versus doing yoga on my own? I'm not saying one's better than the other. How much time did I put in self-improvement reading? Do I feel like I want to do more? Do I feel like that's good? Right now, I don't have a goal of a certain number of days per week because I feel like I'm okay right now just throwing it in when I have enough time on certain mornings, and other mornings I don't. I feel like I'm accomplishing like my goal right there without having to have a strict number of days to follow. And then moving my body, it's just always motivating to see every drop in the bucket and what I'm doing and track cycles and what I'm doing. That is why these are so valuable to me, because as Gretchen Rubin says, she has some kind of phrase that's like this, like we can't monitor what we don't measure. And that's probably not her exact phrase, or we can't measure what we don't monitor. Anyway, whatever her phrase is, I have found that in my life. If I don't measure, these things are so important to me that they matter for the whole year. These are things that are so important to me and that they have been the same for many years. Even though these things, you might call them a habit. Wow, Amanda, if you move your body almost every day, that's a habit. Or, if you do yoga at some form, like almost 5 days a week, that's a habit. Or if you read your scriptures, at least 5 to 6 days a week, a lot of weeks, 7 days, that's a habit. But guess what? I don't know how I'm doing. I would not remember how I'm doing if I didn't have this to look at. So it really helps me to just know how I'm doing. It helps on both ends. Like instead of looking at it and thinking, for a week, oh, I did terrible. I only read 3 days this week. I can see the whole scope of the year and say, well, this was a hard week, but that's not really happening weekly. Like I'm doing great, so I don't need to worry. Or I can see, wow, that is happening every week. I am missing Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Why is that happening? What's happening on those days? Maybe there's one of those days that I do just need to mark out and say, oh, I'm not going to get in my reading that morning because there is something in our schedule that happens every day that week. Or why am I just waking up and not wanting to read on those certain mornings? It helps me see that and see, do I need to let myself off the hook for that day or not? Or is there some kind of a fix or what is going on? So I hope I've explained that in a way that you guys can understand. I know that these might make some people tense, but I don't see it as at all like I need to mark off every day. I've never seen it that way. Never. It's never an all or nothing. If anything, this just motivates me to see how well I'm doing for the whole year as a whole and to just keep going drop by drop. It is making a difference. And at the end of the year, I can totally see that, not just on paper, but in my life in each one of these categories. Let me know your thoughts on the yearly habit trackers down below now that I've tried to really sell them to you. I'm not selling them, but I love them and they have just been a great asset to me in my routines and habits. And I am not a type A personality at all. As you can tell, why I don't want to use a goal planner. These are just a great guidance and I don't feel any kind of guilt over them. I feel like it is just helping me to see how I'm doing. That's a huge part of my goal system. I would just call them my intentions. I more have intentions for the year and then I have projects for the year, which are like big project goals. And then I have my habits, which really keep me on track, physical and mental and spiritual health, really. So if you go back here, this is how I have done it the past couple years. 2023, basically a couple of months before 2022 ended, I just started this mind map because I knew I was going out of town mid-December for 2 weeks to my sister's. And I kind of wanted to start it. I think I started it like back in October. And as I thought of things, I just added to it. So this is really more like my projects that come to mind. Things like my son coming home from his mission and needing to do things with college for that. So those come off of his. I kind of color in the major circles. And then if there's anything minor that comes off of those major that I think of, then we do that. That is where this mind map comes in. And then I look at the mind map like every month. But at first I just go break it down into quarter. And I say, okay, for January, February, March, looking at this mind map, what makes sense to work on? And I already kind of need to go over this because it's constantly changing. Life is constantly changing. So this is not going to stay the same. And my mind map is going to get all scratched out and changes on and maybe even add like a whole new one throughout the year. But so far, January, February, March, I've nailed down some things to work on for this quarter Although I need to go through here, things have already changed. And then I look and I say, okay, then pulling from that January, what makes sense for January? Then I pull those and then I come up here to January in my planner. So this could be done with absolutely any planner. And then I come here and I write like my top things for the month here. I didn't list them goals. I just write top January. And those are kind of my top things. And then just my January to-do list and then stuff to do with my son. That's why I love the Laurel Denise, because you have this monthly list to work off of instead of a weekly list. And I can do any more listing here, more listing here. So I have plenty of list room for the month. Then every week I come and I say, that week I was at my sister's just getting home. I pick from my list here and I pick my weekly to-do list out. So I can see what am I going to work on for that week and focus on, and you can see your monthly list right next to it. And then, when that week ends, I can see what I got done and then what I need to put for the next week. So that is how I'm doing my goals in here. Now, Laurel Denise does have this cool little thing up front. And what it is it's your whole year at a glance, and you do have room for goals every month and things to remember every month. I did write in 2 things in January, but I just know myself. I know the way I use planners. I know I will not be coming up here to look. I just somehow know that. And so I am just going to focus on the way that it works best for me, and I am going to focus on this method. Then every month, it's like a fresh start. Now, I have already started listing some things for February, but I always use friction pen in my Laurel Denise, so that's nice. I can erase it really well. I come here, fresh start. I look at what's left on January. What do I actually need to put on February? What do I need to revamp? And then I have marked with the Laurel Denise bookmark that comes with your planner. It comes with 2, one with a stencil on it too. They're really nice bookmarks. And I come back here and I can tweak all over my mind map web, and then I can think about the next month, kind of what I want to focus on, just go throughout the year and see that. And she has plenty of these really light graph grid papers. I love light graph grid. I love that. She has plenty of these back here that you can, use up. I won't even use all these. And then she goes into dot grid. Light dot grid. So plenty for goal planning back here. I love the ample space. I won't come close to using them all. That is my goal planning for 2023. I would love to hear your thoughts on this down below. I know I'm in the minority for my yearly habit trackers. I know I'm in the minority for not using like goal categories. Like a lot of the goal planners, they guide you to use goal categories, which I do think that using categories can make things pop into mind that would not pop into mind just making a mind map web. This just works well for me right now, and I don't like to complicate myself or my life when I feel like it's working well. I don't like to think that I have to change the way I'm doing something just because another system tells me to. I really just like to flow with what makes me happy and what's working. And this planner makes me happy. I love Laurel Denise's designs, so it makes me happy to be in it. I'm loving this really interesting layout, which I've been using since September, where you can see your monthly, your weekly. I was out of town this whole week. Then I got back in town here midweek. But your weekly, and we're right here today, at the same time that you can see your list. And I like to keep this folded over like this on my desk. And sometimes if I want to see my weekly list, I will pull this out. I have room on my desk to be able to do that. So that is nice. I understand if you don't have a wide desk space, then this might not be the right planner for you. But let me grab a 7x9 because I kind of want to show you, oh, that's the A5. I wasn't really planning on doing this, as you can tell, but I'm asked all the time about this planner, and I didn't do it in her review video about the size. So if you have it next to an Erin Condren 7x9, you can see that, well, the tabs are out. So with the tabs, it's only about like 3.25 inches longer. If you go like into the cover, it's about 3.5 inches longer with the rings lined up. And the Erin Condren is a little bit taller, just a tiny, tiny smidge taller than the Laurel Denise. But you can see in thickness, the Laurel Denise is a lot thinner. But we talk all about those half pages, even though they're not like a full half page. We go all into that and the feel of them in the planner and everything in the Laurel Denise review. So if you're interested in the Laurel Denise, check out the review. That is how I'm implementing my goals into my planner this year. I did a very similar system in my Golden Coil last year, but just used some of the Golden Coil project pages for each month list. So if you want to see like how different planners, and there's all kinds of ways you can incorporate that same thing into an Erin Condren. Oh, this is the academic one that I grabbed. But in a normal Erin Condren, you have a monthly dashboard. This is the academic monthly dashboard. And your monthly dashboard could be used for your goals every month. There's really a way to incorporate your goal planning, habit tracking, if you like to keep your habits in your planner, into any planner. So if you're not someone that wants to have a whole separate goal planner and a whole separate goal system, you can incorporate it into any planner. And in the Laurel Denise with her dot grid, you could make habit trackers down here at the bottom. You could make this whole back a habit tracker, either going vertically for the whole month habits or turn it and go horizontally. So there really is a place in every planner to implement a goal setting or habit tracking system if you'd like to put that into just your weekly planner and have it all there. But if you are someone who has never set goals or followed through on habits and just really wants to learn a goal setting system, I do think that PowerSheets or MäksēLife or Clever Fox has some great goal planners that I've reviewed too. And I have playlists for all of those. Those are great tools to help you and teach you systems and hold you accountable and just really lay it out for you step by step. If you're like, Amanda, drawing out a mind map web like that, I would just be like, yeah, leave it alone. I'll never check on it. I'll never do it. I get it. My way is not the way for everyone. I'm just sharing how I do it. You know, every year I tweak it just a little bit. And if I felt like there was major changes needed, I would definitely do that too. All right, guys, I'm adding this in because I forgot to talk about my word of the year and how it really plays into kind of guiding an overall feel for the year. So last year, my word of the year was gratitude, and it really did change me. Focusing in on gratitude the entire year. Pierce was gone on his mission, so they're gone 2 years. But the year they're gone, the entire calendar year, is called their blackout year. And so that's the year they will be gone from January to December, you know, because he left at the end of 2021 in October, and he will get back in October of 2023. I knew I needed to focus on gratitude. I bought a really challenging gratitude journal that caught my eye from a podcast I listened to off Amazon. And it gives you a different gratitude challenge every month. That's in my 2022 stack video and all my 2022 check-ins if you want to see that journal. It was a real challenge for me, but it really made me focus on gratitude in hard ways that I had never done before. I had never kept that hard of a gratitude practice. It was good for me though. It stretched me and it really made me think about it every day. The year before that, my word of the year was not prayer, but my focus of the year was prayer. I feel like I kind of like to give myself a kind of a little harder spiritual challenge every year. And gratitude was last year, 2022. 2021 was prayer. And I kept a prayer journal for the first time ever of writing my prayer every day. And that changed me in a huge way. And so this year in 2023, my word is rejoice. And that's also going to connect in with kind of like my spiritual challenge of the year, because I'm rejoicing because it's the year that Pierce is coming home. So that's why I chose it. But I also want to rejoice because I want to remember to find my joy in the Lord every day. That is where I need to look for my joy at every day, every moment. If I'm looking for my joy or trying to find my joy in other things, it is always fleeting. It is unfulfilling. It will never be lasting. And it will never be something that can sustain me and fill me up through trials and tribulations. So I really want to look and learn to be of good cheer and to find my joy in the Lord each day. So that word rejoice is also going to remind me of that. Not only rejoice because it's a wonderful year of Pierce coming home and having served for 2 years faithfully. All the blessings the Lord has brought us through that, through him and his service. But just there's so much to be mindful of and live in joy every day in the Lord. So that is how that word is going to kind of guide me this year and also kind of be my spiritual challenge. And, you know, I don't need to have quantitative data for that, like I don't for my gratitude or for my prayer, but focusing on that for the year changed me each of those years. And I hope that this year, this will change me also. I don't think everyone has to choose a word of the year. I didn't choose a word of the year until I started my channel and realized it was a thing. But then I realized that I really did love how it guided me for the year. It made me have a focus. And I think if you want to change your word during the year, that's fine too. If you see your year taking a different turn, because, sometimes drastic things can happen to us at any times in our life. And our year can take a big turn. And we might need to change our focus. We might need something else to help sustain us. And our word of the year might need to change. If you want to choose a word for every quarter or even every month. But I do really like to have that focus for the year. So I'd love to hear how you feel about a word of a year, and does it really guide you and focus you, or do you choose one and you don't do much with it? This is the first year that I've ever gotten it on like anything to remind myself. I got it on a necklace from Made by Mary. I will link Made by Mary below. I have several of her necklaces, which I pretty much only put on and wear to church. I'm not good about putting on necklaces on a daily basis, but I do like to have them to wear to church. And hers have held up really well for me over the years. For the price, I feel like they hold up well. But I don't wear them to work out or shower, so just know that. But my word of the year one, I got Rejoice on a long, thin. I will try to remember to show it on Instagram. Come on there and ask me if I don't show it the week of this video. A long, thin little gold bar that also came with a tiny circle. And I put, Pierce and I have this lucky number, and I put that on the tiny little circle on there too. So it's my word of the year, Rejoice, and our lucky number. And it was just the perfect necklace for this year. So I've never done that before with my word of the year, but I actually love that I did it this year. And I don't know that I'm going to do it every year, but it just felt really right this year because my word this year felt really special. And I just saw that necklace and I was like, it's perfect because we have a special number and the word fit in there, and it came with the tiny little round charm with it too that you could put a number on. So that is my story on my word of the year. So I can't wait to hear all your comments on this video because I feel like you guys are going to have a lot to say on this. On the habit tracking, I want to know what kind of habit tracking you're doing. Weekly, monthly, yearly, or none. I want to know all your thoughts about that. I want to know if you're doing goals in your normal planner, or if you're using a goal planner, which one are you using? Or if you're not doing anything for goals, or maybe you have a goals notebook and you just continue it on year by year and you check in there every month. There's so many different ways to do it. Let me know down in the comments. We will chat. Laurel Denise, 10% off, Amanda's favorites, and my affiliate link will also be down there. And all those videos that I mentioned will be down in the description. Take care of yourselves so you can take care of others. I hope you have a good week, guys. If you live in a very cold, gloomy place for the winter, all my hugs, because I live in Texas and we have all the sunshine. And these are like the best months of the year. So I'm going to send you all my sunshine rays coming to you. Do everything you need to do to make yourself feel warm and cozy and lift your mental health. And we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.